Hey there, it's the Jew from the Chew on This podcast, letting you know you can leave comments, questions, and suggestions a number of ways. Reviews and comments are appreciated on iTunes and YouTube, and you can check out our daily postings on Facebook. Our Twitter feed and Instagram is at Chew on This Pod, and of course, as always, you can email us directly at chewonthispodcast@gmail.com. So there you have it, folks. Short of a bat signal or an Avengers card, there's all the ways you can let us know how big of a nerd you truly are. Enjoy and chew on this podcast. Welcome to episode 16 of Chew on This, a Nerds United podcast. I'm BJ.
Dick.
All right, so recently I had the pleasure of sitting down and wasting, well, I shouldn't say wasting, but using 13 hours of my life dedicated to season 2 of Daredevil.
Yeah, it's like a double-edged sword, isn't it? It's like, oh my God, I can't believe I get a whole new season of something that I love. But then you binge watch it and you're like, fuck, I got to wait a whole new year to, watch it again or watch the new season.
Right. I think we talked about it earlier. It would be nice if they had a bunch of these series in a row. So
that's right.
Like a month gap.
It's amazing how many good ideas that we have that people who are much more famous and much more power than we do don't use our ideas.
No, nobody listens to us.
No, because
we have $1 million ideas.
Yeah, we have $1 million ideas, just nobody to tell them to that would actually pay attention.
Well, I have to tell you, man, like last year when they announced that, or was it maybe a year, 2 years ago, when they announced that Marvel got the rights back to Daredevil and that they were going to make it a TV series, I got really super, super excited because I did like the character a lot. I read the comics when I was a kid, and when the Affleck one came out, I wasn't really too sold on it because there's some really weird issues with that movie. But
yeah,
then but I don't know if you've ever seen the director's cut, the rated R director's cut of that movie.
No.
It's actually a lot better. It's a lot better.
Do they cut the playground? Do they cut the playground scene out?
No.
Then it still sucks.
Yeah, I know.
Is Colin Farrell still in it?
Is his over the top acting still?
Yeah, is he still in it?
Yeah.
Then the rated R version still sucks.
All right, it sucks. Well, the Elektra movie itself is really, really bad. We've talked about that before, but
I have not watched that, and I don't see a reason to ever go back. I know we usually do the prepping for a podcast beforehand, and watching whatever came before it. I could not bring myself to watch the movie of Daredevil and the movie Elektra to prepare for this podcast.
Oh man, I couldn't either. And the funny thing is with this particular property, we really don't need to because
they actually try to do it right.
Exactly. And season 1, we've gushed about it before when we did our favorite TV shows or upcoming TV shows. Just gushed about that season.
It was like 90. Was it like 90 something % on Rotten Tomatoes?
Yeah.
It's well deserved.
It deserved it.
Yeah, it's well deserved, and I think you just mentioned that hallway scene is probably one of the best scenes that I've ever seen in a really long time. Like
amazing,
the camera work, the stunt. I mean, the fight choreography alone in that show is ridiculous. But that fight in the hallway in episode 2, I think it is just amazing. And I was really disappointed. Well, I guess I'm going to jump ship now and talk about season 2. But since we already segued into the fight sequence in that hallway scene, they had mentioned that they knew that they had to do something to up the ante of the hallway scene. And I was like, oh man, if they really up the ante, it's going to be fucking sick. And watching this new season, it was escape from the apartment building or whatever, where the
Yeah, I think that was the third episode this time around, like third or fourth.
yeah, and it wasn't as good, and I could see the cuts a lot. There was a lot more cuts. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, they tried to do it a little bit differently, where he's descending, and I mean, there's still a lot of cool things, but they really shouldn't have hyped it up and said like to up the ante of the hallway scene.
Oh yeah. I don't know how you would do that though. I mean, that hallway scene is just so epic the
Well,
way it's shot.
they didn't even up the ante. Remember that? I mean, the hallway scene is ridiculous, but remember, I forget which episode it was in the first season where they talk. No, when he's fighting the one guy from, oh, fuck, what's the ninja group's name in that show in that.
Is it the hand?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Or
When
the
he fights that guy that from the hand, that he's in the second season too. But in the later on in the first season, he gets all cut up and shit. And I think that's when you get the night nurse actually is in the apartment, like patching him
Oh,
up.
that's right.
That's
I
that
think his name was Nobu or something
something like
like
that. But he
that.
gets blown up at the end of the fight. But even that fight where he's getting like cut up and shit like that, they didn't even. I don't even think they typed. I don't even think they topped that fight in this season. Which I mean, you
No.
don't have to, but I don't remember anything that stood out this season as much. There was a lot of cool
Well,
Punisher stuff.
the guy that got the first guy to get hired to write for Daredevil, his name is Drew Goddard. He's actually really man, he's done a lot of work.
Hmm.
But he only wrote the first two episodes, which are like awesome. And he was then tapped to direct and write the Sinister Six movie from Sony.
Right.
So
Okay.
so he left, and then the showrunner, I think his name was DeKnight, Stephen DeKnight. Yeah, this guy, oh my god, he's made some of the most amazing shows. Like he did all the Spartacus shows,
Okay.
which are fucking amazing. He wrote for Smallville, for Buffy the Vampire Slayer, for Angel.
Wait,
Um,
did he write for Smallville before or after they got out of Smallville?
I, yeah, I would be curious to know
Because
that.
if he wrote before they left Smallville, then great. But if he wrote after Smallville, then that's when the show just really started sucking ass.
Yeah, but you know, once Drew left, he took over for Daredevil. That show is awesome, and then the one little misstep is that he was part of the writers' room in Transformers, part of the think tank, whatever they want to call it.
Oh god,
Um,
that's an
and
oxymoron.
now he's tapped to direct Pacific Rim 2, which was Guillermo del Toro's baby,
Right.
but I guess he's not going to direct it anymore because he wants to do other things. So
Wait,
he's going to executive produce that.
so the director of Pacific Rim 2 was the showrunner of Daredevil.
That's correct.
So
And then
did he leave Daredevil before or after they announced
he
Punisher and Elektra?
he left directly after that season
Oh, so this is
debuted.
way
So like in
before.
April of last year, yeah, April of last year, he left.
Okay.
Probably because he was tapped to do other things, and you know,
Right.
so now the new people, there's two guys. Um, his name is Doug Petrie. I forget what the other guy's name is. I think it's like Marco something. Marco Ramirez. So when the night left, these two guys came in and they decided that I guess they were going to do the Punisher and also Elektra. And
Hmm.
these guys aren't slackers either. They although one of their misstep I think is they co-wrote the Fantastic Four, but they did a lot of TV, Pushing Daisies, a lot of Joss
Oh,
Whedon
Pushing
stuff.
Daisies, nice.
All these guys worked at one point with Joss Whedon, so like they have this like, and with JJ's company because they did Alias and Lost, like some of these writers. I can't remember. I
Okay.
get them all
So
mixed up, but
they got a good pedigree.
yeah, they got a good pedigree. Having said that, though, I know that you have said that you really dug season 2.
I didn't
I
mind
mean,
it.
you weren't. I mean, you weren't gushing about
No,
it,
I
but
wasn't gushing.
I know that I liked it less. I know I liked it less than you did.
Right.
I think by like episode 3 or 4, I texted you and said I'm not liking this so far as much.
Yeah, I think my thought on it was that the bar was set so high with the first season. I mean, there's
Hmm.
really nothing wasted in that first season, um, at all. Nothing's really wasted. Every 13 episodes of that first season is exactly what it needed to be, and it just
It,
kept
it's it's
making
all
you.
it's all self it's all self-contained, right? I mean, it had a beginning, a middle, and an end.
You're talking about the
To
overarching story or each
the
episode?
first season, yeah, the first season.
Yeah, yeah, it had a begin. There was no cliffhanger at the end of the first season. He just ends up having the suit and just basically is the Daredevil, of Hell's Kitchen.
Which it did two things. One, you were just so satisfied. Number two, you're like, I can't freaking wait till next year.
Right.
Once they announced they were going to do a second season. Um,
And when they announced that they
okay,
were going to do Punisher and Elektra, I was like, "Oh fuck yeah! This is Marvel getting getting their kids back again, just like Civil War, Spider-Man getting coming back to Marvel." So when they
right.
announced that they were going to do Punisher and Elektra, I was like, "Oh great! I'm going to see like their vision of Punisher and Elektra that they would want to do, with no other outside studio controlling whatever goes on screen." And then they announced that. Shane from The Walking Dead.
Yeah,
I
John Berthenol, or what's
I
his
can't
name?
I can't pronounce his last name, but I always call him Shane. But he
I think it's John. It's John Bernthal. Bernthal.
something like
Yeah, John
something like that.
Bernthal.
But when they announced him as the Punisher, I was like, oh fuck, that's a just like it's almost like every time they cast somebody as a superhero or a comic book person, you're like, wow, that's a perfect casting right there. Because I didn't even think about casting that guy, but then when they announced it, I was like, oh, that's perfect. And I didn't know
It's
who I didn't know who the actress who plays Elektra is,
no.
but she's not bad in the show either. Like the casting is perfect. I think the casting is pretty well done. Um,
Yeah.
but I
Well,
think the show suffers. I don't know what we didn't really get into specifics, but for me, like and like you said, I like the show a lot more than you did this second season around.
hmm
But
hmm
if I did have an issue with the show, it I heard a lot of people saying or read a lot of things that Fisk is missing. Oh fuck! Spoilers, by the way. 11 minutes in now.
Yeah,
Spoilers.
we haven't. Well, it's okay because we haven't got into it yet. So,
But that Fisk is missing from the season from this show. Like I mean, D'Onofrio is just ridiculously good in the first season.
oh yeah,
But what's great about the second season and what's really not good about the second season, if you had to nitpick about it, was that there's a lot going on. And Daredevil's kind of an asshole in the second season. Like
yeah, he is. To, like all his
he's
friends, he's a
just like
fucking liar.
yeah, he's like it's my way basically, and fuck the law firm that we're trying to do. And it's like you almost root against him at certain point in times, especially when he's speaking to Foggy
Oh
and he's
yeah,
trying to keep the firm afloat, and and their dynamic takes a huge turn in this season, whereas the first season it's like you can tell that they're best friends and stuff, and there's definitely a rift in the second season, and it's not the girl, um, the woman from True Blood, I forget her name, but Karen, I think her name is in the show.
Karen.
Uh,
Right, right, right.
it's not her, which you would think would be that. It's the fact that he's Daredevil, and that's the problem that Foggy has with the whole thing, is that he's sacrificing everything to be Daredevil, and that dynamic, although interesting, was like hard to watch, and it really painted Daredevil in a bad light. And I didn't have
Yeah.
the same problem as far as villains go with Fisk being missing for most of the second season. Because
hmm
here's my thought about the showrunner leaving, and this is evident. You remember in the first season, there's basically like 4 or 5 different villains in the show, like that are like
Yes.
mob bosses and things like that. And then of course at the very top of it is Fisk. Well, every person got to shine at some point in time and got some really good screen time in that first season. So there's really no reason, and I think there was more mob bosses in that first season than there were like adding extra characters in this
That
season.
that was one of my favorite things about that show is they kept I was very interested in all those
The
guys. Like
dynamic, right? Like the
the
dynamic to
yeah,
Fisk. Yeah.
I love that.
So what I think is like really missing in this season is that the fact that the showrunner left and these new showrunners had a really hard time making like the new villains kind of shine
Yeah.
in their own certain way. And it isn't until Fisk shows his face again in the prison where you're like, holy fuck, I didn't even know he was in the second season. And of course, he's only on screen for like 20 minutes for the entire second
Yeah.
season, and he fucking shines every second, especially that fight. Well, it really isn't a fight. He just basically beats the shit out of
It
Matt
was
Murdock in
awesome.
the in the interview room. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but I think they had a really hard time like having something more sinister than Fisk in this, or
Well,
something
they
better
kept
than
yeah,
Fisk.
because they kept drawing from the season 1 villains, like even Gao, they brought her back in. The
Right. And they brought that other guy back that blew up.
yeah, that's right. Yeah. And it
Well, the Hand has a bigger the Hand is the main villain in this whole thing, but the first 4 or 5 episodes is all about the Punisher.
yeah, okay, so good segue because here's where I had a problem. They introduced him way too fast and they caught him way too fast. And then it kind of left this gap. And then all of a sudden Elektra shows up and then you find out that she was a cause of a lot of problems in his life and before, and that he for whatever reason he has like a thing for her. He can't get rid of her even though he hates her guts for ruining his life or doing whatever, god knows what.
Right.
They allude to a lot of stuff that happened between them, but he just keeps coming back to her for whatever reason, and he's in love with Karen. But there's so they just introduce all this stuff, and I just frankly I'm sorry, but like I didn't care for half of it. I really didn't. That to me
Well,
wasn't a good enough conflict, to keep that show interesting for me. Like
I think that goes back to what we were saying, where Daredevil's kind of an asshole in this season.
yeah,
Like where there's really no reason why he should go to Elektra and be infatuated with Elektra again, other than the fact that he can share that dark side of Daredevil with her.
right, right,
Like she beckons for that thing from him, even though, and like what's crazy is that every time that he tries to do something good or tries to do it his way, it always
yeah,
backfires.
that's true.
Like basically, and what's crazy is like, so like, what you're saying about introducing Punisher so soon and everything, which I didn't really mind because I really wanted to see him as Punisher. But when he gets, it's right before like he gets caught. That's like probably the gem of the entire season, is when he's giving that speech about that monologue about his family and what actually happened to his
Yeah,
family.
yeah,
And I thought that was that.
that was
I
pretty
mean,
cool.
even though it ran, to me that was the best of the entire second season right there.
Yeah.
The problem is it's really unrealistic because he's just standing there for like 8 minutes telling this fucking story, and I'm like, where the fuck are the cops?
Right.
Like, why are the cops taking so fucking long to get here? Like, and what's awesome about that whole sequence too is that he basically could have got out of there without the Daredevil.
Right. Right.
He had set up the whole fucking thing from the beginning. Like that scene before, right before he gets caught, he actually cut his arm open and shoved the razor blade in his fucking forearm. Like that's how fucking badass the Punisher is in this show.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the Punisher really quick. What was your take on the Punisher versus the other versions of the Punisher that we've seen? In
Well,
like I already know the Dolph Lundgren version doesn't count,
no.
but what
Well, I
about
saw Thomas Jane's
what
version.
about the Thomas? Yeah, Thomas Jane and the other guy.
I never watched the
Um,
second movie to be honest with you. It didn't look good, and I don't know what it was rated on Rotten Tomatoes, but the first
I
one,
think it was rated R or P, like a hard PG
I think
13, because I
so.
remember the
Yeah,
second movie. I watched the second movie, and that movie is violent as hell.
called Warzone, right?
Like that.
Punisher
Yeah,
Warzone.
yeah, yeah. Like it seriously is violent as hell, and it's the difference between this Punisher and that Punisher is I feel like the production value of this version is a lot better than
Oh
this
yeah.
and than Warzone, because like it's almost like a B movie shoot 'em up type movie, like Warzone. It was much better, uh like hardcore gritty wise than the Thomas Jane version.
Yeah.
In that sense, I mean, Thomas Jane was a better Punisher than that guy, but the show, the tone of the second show, second movie, Warzone, was a lot better than the first one.
Okay.
And John Travolta is just fucking terrible in
Oh
in
yeah,
that first
I can't
movie.
stand him in that.
Um,
You know that
but
the
overall, like,
Punisher.
I think I like this. This is my favorite Punisher.
Okay, yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, he did an awesome job, and I did like their take on him, and I like the fact that he was. I mean, they kind of like gave him that PTSD thing because that's more realistic. So like he's kind of gone a little ballistic and over the top, and
They changed his origin a little bit
a
too,
little
so
bit.
he's more of a what was he? What wait was he Navy SEAL? Was he Navy SEAL or he was something like a ranger.
Gosh,
Whatever he was like one of the higher levels
yeah,
of like
he
badass
was,
army people or military people.
yeah, yeah, definitely, he definitely was, and I did like his take on it, and I thought he looked the part. I mean, he looked amazing. I like the, the whole the origin of the symbol. Was like an X-ray of his head with a bullet in it, but he survived.
Yes, yeah, yeah,
I thought
yeah.
that was
And
really cool.
I loved when he repeated the nighttime story that he would read to his daughter
Oh,
right before did bad
right,
things.
right.
I thought that was so cool.
That
Like
was
I
cool.
knew something had to tie into it, but then when he actually told the story and revealed it, I was like, "That's fucking awesome."
So, so Punisher Warzone got 27%. That's almost beat Batman v Superman percent. That fuck. That's
Well,
terrible.
like I said, like it's the tone of that movie is way better than the first one. Like if Thomas Jane was in that second movie, it probably would have been a lot better.
Yeah.
I know the guy that they got. I can't remember his name, but the guy that they got to play in Warzone, I know he looks the part, looks more like the Punisher, but I just like Thomas Jane a lot better.
Yeah, I do too. I do too. Well, he's a good actor. Um, but this take, I mean, there were certain things about him that I really dug. The one thing that I noticed also is that he's kind of like if Dexter was a war hero or something. I mean, he's just like
Right.
he
He justifies his
that's
killings and
right. He just
murders.
goes after bad guys. Like I remember that scene. He's in that uh, was it a pawn shop or something like that, and he was getting something from the guy,
Oh my god,
and he
yes.
was almost
Yes,
out
and he
the
fucking
door.
talks about yes. Oh my god, yeah, that was so fucking
That was
badass.
bad. I mean, the guy was just talking about, "Do you want to watch porn? Do you want this?" And he's like, "No, I just want to get out of here." And like he says, "I even got like kiddie porn or something like that, kids videos or whatever."
Yeah,
And
yeah.
he stops, puts his shit down, locks the door, and goes back. And you're like, "Uh oh, that guy's dead."
That guy, he has no idea how close he came to living.
Right,
Like
right.
like he was 3 steps away from leaving that pawn shop and he would have stayed alive.
Oh my
And then
god.
he had to fucking go and open his mouth and you find out he's selling something worse than guns. And I was like, "Okay, I'm okay with this. Go ahead, fucking kill him."
He was scary. The Punisher dude, he was scary.
Yeah.
He was really scary. And I did like the take on him and whatnot. I don't know if I was really a big fan of Elektra. I mean, I tried to like her, but I think they just kind of again they didn't really write her all that well, or it didn't make. I don't know. I guess her character didn't make a whole lot of sense to
Okay,
me.
well, I didn't see the Electra movie. This version better than the Jennifer
Oh,
Garner version?
oh my god, yeah, yeah. You're
Okay.
talking the regular Letra. I told you is like Catwoman status. It's really bad. It's really really
Okay.
bad, and it uses a lot of mystical stuff too in it. So like when they did this with the hand and then putting her in the end in the coffin, which she's going to be back for season 3 if they do a season 3, and so
Right.
I don't know, man. Like I had a really hard time like connecting with that character, and then even connecting with you know the whole the weird, I don't know, spiritual aspect of it, or the supernatural aspect, because
See, I didn't have a problem with that because I knew the hand when they announced the hand like from last season.
yeah.
I knew that that's the direction that like that's what that is. Like they're not going to try to
they
sugarcoat
t-
the fact that it has the supernatural aspect
how
to it.
much did they touch upon the hand in the first season? Like I know we fought
Not a lot.
Nobu, but
It was just a teaser.
yeah.
It was just a teaser.
Okay.
because it was basically from that guy who came back to life in the second season.
Right.
That he blew up. Like
Which,
everybody was trying to figure out who the fuck that
yeah,
guy was, and everybody was like, he's got to be part of the hand.
see, that fight sequence was so amazing last season that when they brought him back, I was like, really? It's like, couldn't you have someone else in there? Or, because that fight sequence was so perfect that to like have him die and then like come back, it kind of does a disservice. I'm just like, oh my God, like you went
Well, I think that's how they were trying to introduce like that people can come back from the dead,
right,
and like that's why like when you saw him and then Elektra is killed at the end, you knew that she was going to come back once they shoved her in that box.
right,
So, I mean, I didn't mind that too much. I just think that the pacing of the 13 episodes um didn't wasn't as exciting as the first one. There wasn't a lot of suspense built up.
right.
Um, there wasn't like this big overarching mystery of what was going to happen, and they like didn't really keep you guessing too much. I mean, but at the same time, like Daredevil season 2 is a lot better than a lot of shit that we're
Oh,
probably
for sure.
watching on
Yeah,
TV right
I should
now.
be clear about
I mean,
that.
it's much better than it's much better than Arrow. It's obviously much better than Gotham, who I still haven't. I'm like fucking 18 episodes behind.
Right, right.
Um,
No, I
it's
should
much better than Legends of
I
Tomorrow.
should be clear about that. I loved Daredevil. I really enjoyed season 2. I didn't love it as much as I did season 1, but it's still, again, that
Yeah, I mean the bar was set so high from the first season, and you lost your showrunner too. So that was the cards were stacked against you. Which you're just lucky that they didn't take a big shit in season 2. Like they did enough to garner enough recognition to justify a season 3
yeah, and
and to continue to move on to get to the
this
defenders.
season hit what, 75, 76%, something like that.
Something like that, yeah,
It's
which isn't
it's
too
still
bad.
bad. It's still certified for, I mean, you could be the first Punisher. The first Punisher is 29%, which is what Batman v Superman is right now. Is at 29%. So,
Who do you think's more annoying, John Travolta in that first Punisher or Jesse Eisenberg?
oh fuck, damn it. Uh
I'm gonna go with Jesse Eisenberg, and the reason why is because he's playing a bigger character.
I guess, man, that's a tough one. That's a tough
Well,
one.
pound for pound, you got to think. For me, it's pound for pound. Like I don't even know who the fuck John Travolta was playing in the first
I couldn't
movie,
tell you
in that
either.
movie.
I couldn't tell you either. And
But I
he's
know Jesse Eisenberg is playing a Titanic character like Lex Luthor. So if I had to say which one's worse, it has to be Jesse
all
Eisenberg.
right. I guess like, man, that was a tough one. That's like, choosing between two kids or something that your own kids. Like, what do you
Well, or
choose?
no, choose two other kids that you hate.
Right. It's
Which
the
kid do you hate
neighbor's
more?
kids. Two kids that you hate in the neighborhood, but you have to pick one to babysit. You're like, I'll
Yeah.
take Jesse Eisenberg.
Yeah, which one's smaller that I can
I'll
fit
just
in a
look at
closet?
Jesse and be like, dude, I loved you in Zombieland. Come with me. It's fine.
Yeah, just do
Jo-
Zombieland. Don't ever do anything
right. John
else.
Travolta, I don't know, man. You haven't made a good movie in like 20 years. So like, I don't that's messed up. Um,
Well, I mean, Travolta's character was so bad that I can't even remember his
I can't
character's
even remember
name.
who it is. It must have been, it was no, not important at all, but,
No, it doesn't matter at all. He's so bad in that fucking movie.
so we,
He probably cost that movie 60% on Rotten
oh
Tomatoes
my
alone.
gosh. I know. Every time you put Travolta in it, it drops 20%. That's just how it is. It's bad.
It's the average. It's the Travolta
It's a
average.
Travolta average.
if he's not in a if he's not in a Tarantino movie, your movie automatically drops 20% on Rotten Tomatoes.
What would you call Battlefield Earth? Boy.
Well, considering that he was the one who wanted to look that up really quick. What's Battlefield Earth rated? I'm gonna shit
Oh
if it's
my
like
god. Okay,
29%.
I want you to guess. Guess. Okay, this is a guessing game. What
10%.
what do you no. I'll give you three guesses. That's one guess.
40%.
No. Now you're going the different direction.
2%.
Oh my god, you're so close. 3%.
Really?
3%. Yeah, are you surprised
Okay,
that it
so
actually got 3%? Yeah, they
So
dubbed
if
that.
John Travolta is if John Travolta is in your movie, it's automatically down
Yeah,
20%. If
it's
he tries to make a movie and tries to produce the movie, it's an automatic 97% average
do you
decline.
know that after that movie came out and died as bad as it did, that he's like was adamant about making another one? He's like, we're gonna do a sequel, and people were like, what?
Who the fuck are
Why?
you gonna get? Like, who are you gonna get to be in that
I don't
movie
know,
after
man.
your
He's
me
gonna
comes
make
out
it.
at three
He's gonna make
percent?
it in his basement with cardboard cutouts, and who knows? Like,
He's gonna have to use like props from like Home Alone. He's gonna use like the Michael Jordan cutout from Home Alone.
you filthy animal.
Yeah.
Oh God, I saw that movie actually from beginning to end. It was literally the worst thing I've ever seen. I mean, pretty close to it
I
anyway.
just know it has a good actor in it. It has the guy that was a sniper in Saving Private Ryan, and he also played Roger Maris in
Oh
61
yeah,
with
yeah.
Thomas
It had
Jane,
him, but I think it also had I think it
ironically.
also had Forrest Whitaker though too.
He was in that?
Yeah, I think so. I think he played one of the aliens. Which
I don't fucking remember. I don't know.
I hope he didn't do it. Now I'm now I'm like, because that's the reason why that movie's 3%, because he it went up a little
Because those
bit.
two guys were in it.
It went up a
Because
little
those two guys were in it. Yeah.
bit. Oh my god. Um. Anyway, back to back to Punisher. So we could both agree that we like the Punisher in this. We like the take that Marvel had.
I did. I did. I really did like him in it. And the only thing that really bothered me about the Punisher wasn't that he got caught so quickly. Um, it was the fact that he just basically like comes out of nowhere towards the end and saves his ass with a sniper rifle,
Yeah.
and it like it kind of reminded me of do you remember Billy Madison
Yeah.
when he goes around calling people that he fucked with in high school?
Yeah.
And it's what's his face? Oh fuck. The guy's in like every Adam Sandler movie. Buscemi.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's
Crazy eyes.
Buscemi, and like yeah, he has the sniper rifle at the end and shoots the guy in the ass
That's
like
right.
on
That's
stage.
right.
Like he just comes out of nowhere. And when the Punisher saved Daredevil at the end of the season, I was like, where the fuck did he come from? And I immediately thought of
Well,
like
Steve Buscemi.
immediately thought of Billy. I immediately thought of yeah. I immediately thought of Billy Madison and Steve Buscemi, and I pictured the Daredevil go. I'm so glad I called that guy.
He
So
did
like it kind of took me out of it a little
a
bit.
little bit. Well, he's like really like in the beginning of the show, he's really menacing. Like I was like a little frightened. I was like, what the fuck is going on? Like who's this guy wiping everybody
Yeah,
out? Like just killing them left and right. And then, the way everything was he was being portrayed, he was like this it was kind of like the way Wilson Fisk was portrayed in a way, as this like shadow thing, and then once he like comes on screen, he's just larger than life. I didn't really get that with the Punisher. I didn't get that moment where I was like, holy shit. They just kind of introduced him
well,
way too
well,
quickly.
here's why because Wilson Fisk has this calmness about him,
Yeah.
and you don't know when the fuck he is going to snap.
No.
But with the Punisher, you knew when he was around a bad guy,
Mhm.
something bad was going to happen. Like he was going to kill somebody. With Fisk, you just never knew when he was going to like
He
just lose
he
it.
when he loses it too, he was like pounding on him like he was an ape. You notice that? He looked like a
I
gorilla.
know, and
He was just
yeah, I
like
mean
bam,
that's
bam,
where he
bam.
has that. Yeah, that's where he has that. Like that's his ability. That's his like superhero strength or
Yeah.
whatever. That's his
Or
ability.
like headbutt you or something like that. He's just like just a big thing, a big wall. It's crazy.
Yeah, I know.
But yeah, I love that when they brought Fisk back, and then they did a little callback, like they showed him sitting on the side of the bed looking at the white wall, and I was like, "That's fucking awesome. That's
Yeah,
so
yeah, I
great.
thought that was cool.
God, that was
Yeah,
great."
yeah. I think you're right. I think once they introduced Elektra, the show took a turn for the worse.
Yeah,
Well, not the worst, but it was like it wasn't as good as the Punisher.
right, right. And Punisher spends most of the time like behind bars, and they're trying to, the legal team's trying to get him out, and he's being really difficult. And I just, I had a hard time like dealing with that storyline until they got the Punisher back out of jail again, and then I was like, all right, like here we go again, like now. and then it started to kind of
Yeah,
ramp up a little bit.
but then he never, but nothing happened again because that's when Elektra came out or revealed herself, and
Yeah.
you were dealing with that storyline. I almost feel like they should have just left it just as the Punisher,
Hmm.
um, with it, and not put Elektra in it because, or at least just concentrate on Elektra and not put the
And
Punisher in
then,
it, like one or the
and
other.
I don't know about you, like, did it bother you or did you mind that Stick? I mean, I love the character of Stick, especially in the first season. I thought he was awesome. And I love the origin and their relationship and all that. But I felt it really convenient that she trained under him too.
Yeah, yeah, I know. It was trying to tie. Like I don't know too much about Daredevil's origin,
Yeah,
so I
I'm
can't
not.
really say if that's really what
Yeah.
happens. Um, but as far as the TV show goes, there was like there's this other thing going on with Stick, and apparently he's like this leader of this other cult or whatever, or this
Like
other
a
like
like a
underground army
resistance
trying
or
to
something.
stop,
Yeah. Yeah.
right, trying to stop the Hand, and that was never solved. So like obviously the next season has to deal with that type of a thing, and Fisk whenever he gets out,
Yeah. Because like
because he basically says he's going to get out.
yeah, because season one, he tries to kill that kid. Because like the little kid, right? I can't remember. I think they were shipping something and they thought it was a weapon of some kind, and it ended up being a child. Or I think
Oh, right, right.
okay, and then like
And you're never it's brought up again in the second season, and you don't know who the hell that kid
you
is.
don't like he was trying to kill him, and Daredevil's like, no, you can't kill this kid. He's just a kid. And then like they're talking about Sky or something like that in this season, and you come to find out that Elektra was the thing that they were looking for the entire time. That well, almost like it reminded me of the Fifth Element. Really, they're like
Oh wait, of what?
it reminded me of the Fifth Element, that movie Fifth Element.
Oh, oh.
Where they're just like
Yeah, I like her better than this Electra,
Lilu.
if that was the case.
Yeah.
Yeah, that movie's really good.
Yeah,
Like it's a really good sci-fi
it's
movie.
so yeah, that movie's so fun. Um yeah, I don't know. There was just some sort of like some plot convenience and the action still held up pretty well, although the
Hmm.
set pieces I think from the first season are some of them are far superior, but the fighting was still good. I love the costume maker. They brought him back and like,
Yep.
he went and saw him and said, "Hey man, my helmet's cracked. What can you do for me?" And he's like, "Oh, yeah, you're going to be screwed for a while. I'm going to have to rebuild this thing from scratch and don't get your head bashed in until I get this thing for you." And then and then he gets the helmet and it's like really freaking strong. Didn't they like weren't they shooting at him or hitting him over the head or something like that? And it was just dinging off of it like it didn't really
Yeah,
hurt
he
him.
he reinforced it with something different. I forget. Basically, he's basically his head is basically indestructible with that helmet on.
Yeah, and then they introduce the he gives him the gift, which is
The cane
yeah,
with
the
the
stick.
Daredevil weapon, whatever
Oh
it
my
is. Yeah,
god, that thing was awesome. I thought
yeah,
I was so like that was the one time I think I got goosebumps in the second season is when he finally got that weapon because that's like his weapon but it has multiple uses. And when he used it, I was like, "Oh shit, son." Like awesome,
yeah.
you know. So I thought
What
that
do you
was really
think
cool.
about that whole? What do you think about the whole night nurse subplot in this season?
Um
I thought it was weird. I thought it was like really weird and just kind of out of place.
it
Like,
was out of
and
place.
once again, Daredevil like does something dickish and somebody else pays for it.
Right. Right. Um I think this season it almost felt like I don't know, like in Jessica Jones season it kind of made sense when they had her in there.
Oh, dude, they dropped so many Easter
They
eggs
did.
about Jessica Jones, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah, they did.
Because you get Carrie Ann Moss's character in that
Yeah.
when she hires Foggy.
Yeah. That was awesome.
That, that
Um
was pretty cool. I like that.
I mean that's good that they have all those people in the universe. I think the Luke Cage's series starts in September. So
Yeah.
we'll get to see that and probably some of Jessica Jones' universe and maybe some Daredevil. Who knows? Um, So I'm,
Well, Jessica Jones, I think, is until next year it comes out or something like
oh,
that.
okay. Yeah, I'm uh, we'll see how that goes. You know, we've already talked about I wasn't a huge fan of Jessica Jones, but again, that doesn't mean anything. This these Marvel shows are really like high and above, like really well done. So
Well, I mean, we were comparing the first season of Jessica Jones to the
to
first
first season
season
of
of
Daredevil,
Daredevil.
I did. Even so much so that after I watched Jessica Jones and we had a chat about it, I actually went back and watched season 1 of Daredevil again, and it still held up. I mean, it was awesome the second time around, and I caught a bunch of stuff, the second time. So I'm gonna give this like another probably 6 months, like wait till the end of summer, something like that, and I'll go back and watch Daredevil season 2 again. And
I think if you watch it as a standalone season and not try to compare it to the first
I
season,
know it's hard. It's really hard.
I think it's a lot. Yeah, I mean, I don't think people analyze this stuff as much as we do. Like
Yeah.
people like us analyze it because I have a coworker who was watching this, like just finished it too, and I was like, well, what'd you think? And he's like, dude, I loved it. And I'm like, okay, like that's like a normal person watching it,
Yeah.
not somebody who's like neurotic like we
I
are,
know.
who
I
fucking
put stuff
analyze every
I
frame.
analyze everything, and even down to like, oh yeah, I saw that before in season 1. Like I just caught a lot of stuff where I'm like, oh, they're just regurgitating some of those things. Even like the whole fight thing going down. Yeah, I mean, he went and fought people going down
Yeah,
the
like
building, but
I paid really close attention because when it happens in the first season, like it just catches you off
oh
guard.
yeah,
Like when it happens, because nobody was talking about it really, and when it happened, you're just sitting there like, did I just fucking see that? Did that just really happen? That whole thing was like almost one shot, and it's like you can see how like exhausted like the actor is, Charlie Cox is at the
yes,
end of that fight. Like there's a part where he almost breaks character where he's so exhausted from fighting, and it plays it. Not, I shouldn't have said broke character. You can see like the true tiredness
yeah.
that he actually has. Like he's just
You're
exhausted
tired
from
watching it.
fake fighting. Yeah, but it's real tired. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And in the second season, I basically was waiting for it because they had teased it before the season even launched,
yeah,
saying like we knew we had to up the ante, and I'm like, oh my god, if you up the ante on that hallway scene, that's going to be
yeah,
ridiculous. So I paid attention, and there was like a lot more cuts, so there really wasn't. It didn't really have the same impact. And not to mention that he is in full armor at this point in time too.
right. So he's not
So
getting the shit
there's
kicked
that
out of him.
level of
Yeah,
right, exactly. So there's this level of like if he gets hit or cut, he's really not going to feel it because he's covered in armor.
right.
Whereas in the first season, when that fight happens, he just has that awesome black on black,
Yeah, just a black
which
shirt and black pants.
yeah, which still like I love that costume. It was so simple.
Yeah, I loved it too. I really I was surprised about how much I liked that. And I was surprised that they waited until the very last episode to actually show him in his suit. I was like, wow, well done.
But it was so good.
Yeah,
But that
it
was
was
so good
really
that they
well
did
done.
that.
And I like that they've
It wasn't like I don't know, X-Men Origins
right,
rushing to get the claws.
right. I just like and in this season they've I like that he said, hey, you need to help me upgrade this thing. Like they just keep it's just like with everything. I mean, everything that's realistic. If your thing didn't do something the way, you're like, oh shit, a dog bit through my armor. I need to fix this, and they fix it. They did the same
Yeah,
thing
like
that
in the Dark
Nolan.
Knight.
Yeah, the Nolan Batmans were the same way. It's like,
It's like I want to be able to turn my
I
head.
want to be able to turn my head. I don't want to get the dog biting me. I need good shit. So
Yeah.
I do like that. I like that they really paid attention to some of the details. I like that stuff. But as far as again, the story and some of the little things that they did, I wasn't a huge fan of it. But having said that, now that they've gotten through this season, which felt kind of like a filler season, I think next year or next season they really need to go all out. I've actually heard rumblings that this is the last season of Daredevil, the next one, and then that because they're trying to build the world. They're trying to get the Defender series off the ground. But you've got,
Yeah, I
I
mean,
know they have season 2 of Jessica Jones. I know they have Luke Cage, which finished filming. I think they're post production, whatever. And then you've got Iron Fist, which I think is ramping up to start filming soon. They got the guy and probably training and writing scripts or doing God knows what. So That's the one I'm probably more interested in than any of the other series is Iron Fist.
Iron Fist.
Yeah, I want to know how they're
I'm
going to do
I'm
it.
curious. I'm curious how they're gonna update the narrative on that with a white guy.
Yeah, I know. It's going to be interesting, man.
Because I think a lot of people who really don't know that comic are just like, well, the original guy's white. I'm like, yeah, the original guy's white because you needed a white guy to like explain Asian culture to you, fucking moron.
Right.
But now that, but now that there's a lot more like, it's a bigger melting pot here. It doesn't make any sense to see Asian culture through a white guy's eyes. It actually makes more sense to actually bring the Asian culture to America with an Asian guy
Right.
and him trying to adjust to
That
America.
makes total sense. Again, we talked about this in a diversity episode a few episodes ago.
Yeah.
How Marvel missed a pretty big opportunity to bring more diversity to the universe. And this is, I mean, it was a no brainer to me why they wouldn't want to do it that way. I understand that they're trying to be whatever, close to the material, blah, blah. But you know what? Your average fucking guy has no idea who Iron Fist is anyway. So why
Right.
not really change it up? And then, like I said, you have, again, I'm not trying to be all like PC or something like that, but now you have like Charlie Cox, obviously a white guy. You have Elektra, who's exotic. You have Luke Cage is African American guy. You have Iron Fist could have been a different culture, Asian, of course, which makes
You
total
do
sense.
realize when he puts that mask on, he's got like slanted eyes
Slanted
in the
eyes.
costume,
I
right?
and how are they gonna? Oh my god! Like the more I think
They better
about it,
not
the
put
more
slanted
upset.
eyes on that costume.
They better not. You're right. They better not do that. The more I think about it, the more kind of upset I'm getting about it. But it's true.
The only reason why I'm not screaming from the rooftops or whatever, it's because it's Marvel.
Right, right, right,
That's the only reason why. Because like I'll trust them. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt because it's fucking Marvel.
right.
Like, what if they really put out there that you're like, wow, that's not only is that fucking horrible, but that is really like that's just being like ignorant and racist. Like it's not fucking Michael Bay doing Iron Fist.
Right. I don't know if you guys
So
know it out there, but we do not like Michael Bay. I don't know if you figured that out by now.
yeah, wait till the next one. Wait till the next footage of Transformer movie comes out.
Oh
You
man.
think we were fucking? You think we were shitting on? You think we were shitting on Zack Snyder?
Oh my god.
Like, wait till Michael Bay puts out a next
Is
film.
he actually
You'll see.
filming? Is he actually directing the fifth Transformer movie? See,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
sad thing is, we're probably going to pay money to go see that, and then
I'm not.
we're going to shit on it the next week.
I'm so not. I have not seen a Transformers movie in theaters. How many movies are out now
4.
for Transformers? 4. I haven't paid money since the second one.
Yeah, I took my son to the third and fourth one because he loved it, and I took him to Ninja Turtles. I had to suffer through that turd. But
Never. I didn't pay for that one
But the
either.
bizarre thing is, dude, I wrote off to Ninja Turtles 2 ages ago, but then I saw a commercial where they're going full bore. They don't give a shit. They're like putting
Yeah,
Bebop and what's his name and
Rocksteady.
Rocksteady and then Krang. I was like, oh my god, I have to see this just because they're throwing everything, including the kitchen sink, into this freaking movie. So like now I'm like, God
They
damn it.
are, but the first one wasn't good.
No, it's not good by any stretch of the means. But what I'm saying is that when I saw that trailer, I was like, it's like pure curiosity struck me stronger, way more than the first movie. I didn't give a shit about the first movie. I knew it was going to suck, but this one has a potential to still suck. But the point is that they put stuff in the movie that I never thought I'd ever see in my lifetime. I thought, oh, I'll never get to see. I mean, those are things from the cartoon, I think, that they made up.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh my
Yep.
god, I got to see that. I don't know why, but I got to see that. And then they got Stephen Amell to play Casey Jones. So I'm like, well,
Oh God.
maybe they'll have some.
If there's a fucking
flashbacks.
flashback in that, dude, if there's a flashback in that movie, just fucking walk out.
Right. Um, yeah, man. Speaking of which, Arrow is, I mean, it's so hard to watch right now because they keep doing these flashbacks of him running around the island now, and it's got all this.
Yeah, I'm a few
It's
episodes behind that now.
it's oh my god, it's turned into like a CW soap opera big time. I think Flash is the only one that actually is like a comic book come
Did
to life.
not to go too far off on a tangent because we are talking about Daredevil and Marvel stuff, but did you watch the crossover with the Flash and Supergirl?
Yeah. What did you think about that?
I didn't really like it.
You didn't like it? I felt
No, because she's in a different universe.
yeah. Well, I didn't mind.
So I was like,
I didn't mind so
because
much that.
he was like shocked. He was like shocked that there's Supergirl, right? And I was like, wait a minute, does that mean because remember there's she's in the same universe as Superman.
Mhm.
So does that mean that in the Flash's universe there's no such thing as Superman?
Right. That's exactly, almost pretty much exactly what they're saying, which kind of
Well,
contradicts
then that's
everything.
why I fucking hate it, which I fucking hate.
Yeah. No,
I didn't like it.
I get that. I kind of put that aside. I put the story bullshit aside and watched it for what it was. And I liked their interactions together. I didn't like the story. I thought the story was stupid,
No.
and I thought the reason why he was
I
there
think
was stupid.
their chemistry was good. Their chemistry was
Yeah,
good, but again, the plot and the fact that Superman doesn't live in the Flash's universe is fucking
it's
bullshit.
contradictory too. You know, it's
Yeah.
but whatever. The TV land is way different than the movie universe, and I guess it got a huge ratings. Like it got a huge bump in
It did,
ratings.
but like it wasn't any good.
No, but I guess they have. Well, here the problem is. This is the problem. You could tell that they didn't write this thing up until maybe a couple months ago. So if they would have had planned it from months ago, from the beginning of the season, I think it would have made a lot more sense for them to cross over. But the way it's
I want to know the logical sense to not to have Supergirl and Superman only be in a different universe
well, I don't know.
or a
I,
different
I
Earth
couldn't tell you there,
or
except
different
for
Earth.
from what I've heard from Kevin Smith's podcast and some other things, is that they've hinted that there's a multiverse. That's why Ezra Miller is the Flash and Barry and Grant Gustin isn't in the DCU because there's multiple. So it's like they're trying to justify like why they're doing the things that they're doing, but also saying like because Zack Snyder said, well, he doesn't fit the tone of the DCU. I'm like, fuck you. Like, really? Like, Grant Gustin is awesome. I'm sorry. Like, he is awesome as the Flash. And I'm not just
Yeah.
saying that as like a fan of the show. I mean, I love the show, but he makes the show. If he's not any good, the show sucks. So
Yeah.
I love his character, and love everything about that show. And I think they could have, you know, put him in there if they would have tried hard enough, for God's sake. So
Look, if Zack Snyder is telling you that the tone of something you're doing is not fitting his tone, that's a compliment
it
in
is
my
it is
book.
a compliment, and it's also egotistical because he says it doesn't fit my tone. My tone. I'm like, okay,
Yeah,
okay. Your tone is not what the DC universe is. I'm sorry. Because if you
it's
if you
not.
look at the Berlanti verse, whatever you want to call it, you look at his shows, they're very like, even though Arrow is like dark and all that stuff, there's still like points in the show where it's lit up. It's really lit, even the underground, their lair
You
is
mean like
lit.
when it's daytime, it looks like
That's
daytime?
right. And like Supergirl's, yeah, Supergirl's very colorful. Flash is extremely colorful. The Flash reminds me of like you go to the store and pick up a comic book and open it up. Like every episode is a comic, brought to
Well, every
life.
comic book is different. Like, and that
But see,
every comic book is different. Every comic book has their own tone.
right. But you cannot put Batman, Superman, Green Lantern, all those guys and have the same freaking tone. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. So
Well, take a look at the subject matter at hand. Is look at Daredevil and Jessica Jones.
yeah.
Daredevil's in Hell's Kitchen, and overall that show's pretty gritty
Hmm.
because it's Daredevil. But when you look at Jessica Jones, not a lot of grittiness to it, unless she's like when she actually goes into Hell's Kitchen, it gets a little gritty. But overall, that
It's
show's
it's it's
pretty
pretty bright
normal.
and colorful, but you can put Daredevil in that show, and it would work. You could put Jessica
Right,
Jones in
and
there.
there's no like filter like Zack Snyder uses for whatever he does for his films that mutes all the colors.
Well, this is what I'm wondering: is he like okay? I know a woman. Somebody's directing Wonder Woman. I think it's a woman actually,
Right.
which is cool.
Yeah, yeah, it is.
Um, is he like overseeing that? Is he visiting the set, going like, "It's too light. To turn that light down"? Like that,
I don't
mute those
know. I don't
colors.
know because well, because like the subject matter for Wonder Woman from what we've seen, it looks like they're going back to World War One, and I don't really need World War One to be like very bright. I'm almost thinking like it has to have this like same tone as Saving Private Ryan, even though it's in World War
Right.
Two. Like it has to have something like that.
You asked me if I've seen her costume, like the normal what it normally looks like, and I finally looked it up and I was like, damn, it looks awesome. But they
Yeah,
muted the shit
Superman's
out of it.
Superman's costume is really bright too.
Yeah, they muted the shit out of it. I was like,
They actually had an interview. They interviewed the costume designer, and she was being asked about the costumes,
was she
obviously about
crying?
what she did in her direct.
Was she all sad?
Well, she what's funny is she actually said like I don't think she put two and two together, but I'm paraphrasing her quote, and she said the fans will probably get annoyed because I made the costumes a little bit too bright. And I'm
Oh
like,
man. Can
have
you
you ever
imagine?
seen a Zack Snyder movie? I'm like, you've never seen a Zack
Can,
Snyder movie,
can
have
you
you? It doesn't. You
imagine?
could put fucking neon lights on it, it would still be like dark
Can
as hell.
you imagine her like inviting her friends and family to the movie? They're like, "You get to see my costumes," and they're like, "What the fuck? What is this?"
Yeah, why did you make? Yeah, why'd you make it so dark?
I mean, my favorite costume was Batman's. I mean, it was really close to the
Right.
Frank Miller comic, but
But there's different. But if you actually take a picture, if you go online and look at a picture of Batman's
Mhm.
costume, there's multiple colors in that costume, but you can't see them because of this filter that he puts on his films.
Yeah, I don't.
Like there's a distinct color of gray and like a dark bluish gray in the costume, and you can't see it. You think you think the costume is light gray and black,
Mhm.
which is not the
It's not.
case.
No,
It's not
no,
the
it's got
case.
blue in it. I've seen.
It's a dark blue, but if you go look on the picture online, you'll see
Yeah,
that
I think
there's
I've.
actual color.
Oh my gosh, we've talked about that before in length, where they showed off and they
Yeah,
showed off all
I thought
the costumes way before the movie even came out, which pissed me off. But whatever. At least
I thought we might be able to get through a podcast without bringing up Zack Snyder, but that was impossible.
but well, Daredevil is in spades. Such an awesome. Marvel really brought that character back to life. I mean, after the debacle from 10 years ago, which
Right.
again could have been a really good movie had they not. I mean, there was still so many things in that movie that were like Joel Schumacher ish. A little too much. Whatever. Just like the
Yeah,
playground
I
scene and
read
the over the top
something.
of Bullseye and all that
Yeah,
shit.
God, that fucking playground scene. I read somewhere where Ben Affleck took that movie really hard because he really loves comic
He
books like we
loved
do.
Daredevil a lot. He took that job because he loved
And
Daredevil.
yeah, but he didn't really have any. I think the studio fucked it up. I think was it Fox put that movie out?
Yeah, well, they did mess it up because if you do watch the director's cut, the rated R version, I'm telling you, it is better. I mean, it's not like 20,000 times better, but it does make the movie better. Like the vision that they were looking for. But again,
I'd be interested to like. I'd be like we've said before. Like I would love to see his vision for Daredevil, and I can't wait to see his vision for
yeah,
Batman.
me too.
That dude knows how to direct and tell a story. So, but Daredevil's back home with Marvel, and they're doing a bang up job with the first season, and they did a good job regardless of our um, problems with the second season. And we have so much more to look forward to. Probably in 2 years, we're going to get the Defenders, which will be interesting because around 2 years, that's when the Infinity Wars will happen, right?
That's right. So there's going to be a lot of I don't know
So,
about crossover, but I mean they do once in a while bring up some of the superheroes like what's or the happenings around and all that stuff. But I don't.
well, I mean, with all the characters that they're introducing, like Doctor Strange and Black Panther and things like that, the Russo brothers quoted that there's going to be even more, and I'm thinking like, well, there's no more movies coming out from now until then. Could they be talking about Guardians of the
Right.
Galaxy and the street heroes like Luke Cage and Jessica Jones and Iron Fist and Daredevil? Like, there's got to be like something, and I'm gonna fucking lose it if I see Charlie Cox in a
Oh my
fucking
god,
Infinity
I
War
will
movie.
totally.
That would be so fucking
I
badass.
already lost it when I saw Spider Man, but you're right. If I saw Daredevil in an MCU movie, I would flip the fuck out. I'd be like,
Yeah,
this.
because it would be like Marvel, like basically giving the middle finger to DC and saying like, "What do you mean you can't have your fucking TV show mix in with your movies?
Exactly.
Like, we didn't like
That's
that's so much foresight. That's so much like forward thinking on Marvel's point
Right.
of like hiring somebody that they could believe in that would be in a movie. So I really hope and pray that the street level heroes on the TV shows, minus Agents of Shield, are in the Infinity Wars.
I do,
Like that would just be fucking
I do
awesome.
too, and I believe I believe they could do it because the way the writing, the way the shooting, the production value, all that stuff, it could translate. They could move people in and out. They could do it.
Yeah, Daredevil's actually in the Civil War story.
Oh wow.
And so is Luke Cage, and so is Iron Fist. They're in that story. It's just that, it's too big of a story. Like if you actually did the real Civil War comic book version of
It'd be
it,
like
it would
three
be like
parts and shit.
it would be four
Yeah,
movies. Yeah,
yeah,
it's too big.
yeah.
But anyway,
Well, anyway,
so that's our Daredevil episode. Even though we touched more DC in here, which we'll try to avoid later on.
yeah. Try to keep
But
them
I'm
separated.
sure it'll come up again when we talk about Civil War, like as a comparison.
Oh yeah, for sure. But yeah, that's Daredevil. If you haven't watched it yet, what are you doing listening to this? That was a waste of time. You should go watch Daredevil. Watch it again if you've already watched it. It's phenomenal. It's an awesome show, and I look forward to the
And do not
Defenders.
watch the Ben Affleck version.
Yeah, dude, throw it away, break it, throw the Electra away.
Or actually, if you have not watched Daredevil and for some reason you're watching this, go watch Ben Affleck's Daredevil, then go watch the Marvel TV show, and you'll understand night and day what happens when Marvel gets one of their kids back.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just wish they would have got Fantastic Four back, but that's here nor there. We'll see what happens in the future.
Yeah, we'll see.
Anyway, all right, man. Well, that's episode 16 of Chew on This, a Nerds United podcast. I'm BJ.
Vic.
Chew on that. Peace.
Later.